The espresso machine was making that grinding noise again. Midnight, and here I was, Gideon Hale, corporate lawyer extraordinaire, playing fix-it man to a temperamental Italian coffee maker that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The irony wasn't lost on me. I could negotiate million-dollar mergers, but I couldn't figure out why this damn machine sounded like it was eating gravel. He'll confess tonight and I'll reject him, right in front of everyone, while he pays. My wife's voice drifted from the living room, crystal clear through our open-concept condo. Marisol was on FaceTime again, probably with Serena, her business partner and designated enabler. I froze, wrench halfway to the machine's back panel. The look on his face will be priceless, Marisol continued, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. God, he's so pathetic. Still thinks we're playing house. Apparently, I was starring in my own Greek tragedy. No one had sent me the script. I set the wrench down carefully, quietly, and moved closer to the kitchen's edge. Our downtown condo was all glass and steel, designed for entertaining the city's elite. Tonight, it felt like a fishbowl, and I was the specimen being observed. What about Emily? Serena's voice crackled through the phone speaker. She's 16, she gets it. She already posted that TikTok about her cringe boomer dad versus her cool mom. The kid knows which side her bread is buttered on. My daughter. My own daughter was part of whatever performance art my life had become. And Rafe? Serena asked. Rafe's perfect. He's everything Gideon isn't. Successful, exciting, actually worth my time. Plus, his startup just got another round of funding. $20 million this time. Rafael Ortega. I knew the name from Marisol's work stories, some tech hotshot she'd been consulting for. Apparently, their business relationship had expanded beyond marketing strategies. You're evil, Mari. I love it. I learned from the best, Marisol laughed. Remember what you always say. If you're not playing the game, you're getting played. I backed away from the kitchen edge, my bare feet silent on the cold hardwood. The espresso machine could stay broken. I had bigger problems to solve. Back in my home office, I sat in the leather chair that had cost us $3,000 and opened my laptop. Corporate law had taught me one fundamental truth. Information was power, and power was the only currency that mattered. If Marisol wanted to play games, she'd picked the wrong opponent. My phone buzzed. A text from my boxing coach, Biggs. You coming in tomorrow? You missed the last 3 sessions. The gym. The one place in this city where things made sense, where problems got solved with sweat and honest violence. I'd been neglecting it, trying to be the devoted husband to a wife who was apparently auditioning for the role of my executioner. I typed back, yeah, need to work on my combinations. Another text, this one from Bobby Dre, my junior associate. The Morrison contract needs your review before the morning meeting. Bobby. 29, sharp as a blade, and one of the few people in my professional orbit who didn't seem to be playing an angle. In a world full of Marisols and Serenas, Bobby was refreshingly direct. Send it over, I replied. I'll be up anyway. The Morrison contract was straightforward, a tech acquisition that would net our firm a healthy fee. I reviewed it mechanically, my mind elsewhere. Marisol's voice kept echoing. He'll confess tonight, and I'll reject him. Confess what? That I loved her? That I'd been trying to save our marriage while she'd been busy planning its public execution? My email chimed. Bobby had sent the contract, along with a note. Hope everything's okay. You seemed distracted in today's meeting. Even my junior associate could tell I was falling apart. Professional pride stung worse than marital humiliation. I spent the next hour reviewing contracts and case files, but my concentration was shot. Every few minutes, I'd hear Marisol's laughter from the living room, punctuated by Serena's encouraging cackles. They were planning something, and I was apparently the guest of honor. Around 2 a.m., Marisol finally ended her call and padded to the bedroom. I waited until I heard the shower running, then crept back to the kitchen. Her phone lay on the marble counter, screen dark but still warm. I'd never been the suspicious husband type. Privacy was sacred in our house, or so I'd thought. But desperate times called for desperate measures, and I was feeling pretty damn desperate. Her passcode was Emily's birthday. Of course it was. The group chat was right there on her home screen. Operation Upgrade, with Serena and someone listed as R.O., Rafael Ortega, presumably. The messages made my stomach turn. Explicit photos, mocking commentary about my performance in various areas of our marriage, and detailed plans for something called the Big Reveal. Apparently, I was going to be publicly humiliated at some upcoming event, though the specifics were vague. But it was the Venmo history that really got my attention. Payments to R.O. for consulting fees, thousands of dollars from our joint account, money I'd assumed was going to legitimate business expenses. The payment descriptions were creative. Market research, brand development, strategic positioning. Strategic positioning, right. I screenshotted everything, sent the images to my personal email, then deleted the evidence from her sent folder. Corporate law had also taught me about covering my tracks. The shower was still running. I had maybe 5 more minutes. Her Photos app was a goldmine of narcissism. Endless selfies, group shots from influencer parties, and videos I definitely shouldn't be watching. But buried in the recent uploads was something interesting. A video from last weekend's Girls' Night Out, except it wasn't just girls. Marisol was at some upscale rooftop bar, draped over a man I recognized from LinkedIn photos, Rafael Ortega. Tall, dark, expensive suit, the kind of artificially perfect smile that screamed, "Trust fund, baby." They were kissing while Serena filmed, both of them laughing like it was the funniest joke in the world. "This is for posterity," Serena's voice said from the phone speaker. The moment Mari finally upgraded. "Poor Gideon," Marisol giggled, coming up for air. "He still thinks I'm working late." "Should we send this to him?" Rafael asked, his voice carrying that particular brand of entitled arrogance I'd learned to recognize in certain clients. "Not yet," Serena said. "Let him figure it out on his own. It'll be more fun that way." The shower stopped. I quickly closed the video, placed her phone back exactly where I'd found it, and retreated to my office. So there it was. My wife was cheating, my daughter was complicit, and my marriage was apparently dinner theater for their amusement. The only question now was what I planned to do about it. I opened a new document on my laptop and started typing. Evidence log, day 1. If Marisol wanted to play games, I'd show her how a lawyer played to win. The Morrison meeting went smoothly, which was more than I could say for the rest of my life. Bobby noticed my distraction again, covering for me when I lost track of the client's questions about liability clauses. "You sure you're okay?" she asked afterward as we walked back to our offices. "Just tired," I lied. "Late night reviewing contracts." She gave me that look, the one that said she wasn't buying it, but wouldn't push. Bobby was good people, which made her an anomaly in our profession. My phone buzzed with a text from Marisol. "Don't forget about the charity thing tonight. Wear the navy suit." The charity thing. Right. Some fundraiser for local artists that Marisol had insisted we attend. Now I understood why she'd been so enthusiastic about it. Public venue, lots of witnesses for whatever humiliation she had planned. I texted back, "Looking forward to it." Let her think I was still the oblivious husband. Meanwhile, I had 8 hours to prepare my own performance. The boxing gym was exactly what I needed: dim lighting, heavy bags, and the honest smell of sweat and determination. Coach Biggs took one look at me and pointed toward the heavy bag. "Whatever's eating you, take it out on the leather," he said. "But keep your guard up. You drop your hands when you're angry." Biggs was 60-something, built like a fire hydrant, and had the kind of street wisdom that came from 30 years as a Detroit police detective before he moved here to train fighters. He'd been coaching me for 2 years, ever since I'd decided that corporate law wasn't providing enough physical outlet for my frustrations. "You want to talk about it?" he asked, after I'd spent 20 minutes trying to murder the heavy bag. Wife trouble, I said, unwrapping my hands. The pretty one with the social media thing? That's her. Figured. You've been distracted lately and it ain't work stress. Work stress makes you sharp. This makes you sloppy. Biggs had a way of cutting through bullshit that I appreciated. No therapy speak, no gentle probing, just honest assessment. She's cheating, I said. You sure? Got proof. What you gonna do about it? That was the question, wasn't it? The old Gideon would have confronted her directly, demanded explanations, maybe suggested marriage counseling. But the old Gideon hadn't known he was married to someone who found his pain entertaining. Still working on that part, I said. Well, when you figure it out, make sure you can live with it afterward, Biggs said. Revenge feels good in the moment, but it's got a way of sticking around longer than you expect. I spent another hour at the gym, working through combinations and trying to clear my head. By the time I got home, I had the beginnings of a plan. Marisol was in our bedroom getting ready for the charity event. She'd chosen a black dress that cost more than most people's car payments, paired with jewelry I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. The irony was perfect. You're cutting it close, she said, not looking up from her makeup mirror. Sorry, had to finish some client work. She applied lipstick with the precision of a surgeon. Serena and Rafe will be there tonight. Great, I said, injecting just the right amount of fake enthusiasm. Looking forward to meeting him. That got her attention. She turned from the mirror, studying my face for signs of suspicion. You'll like him, she said carefully. He's very successful. I'm sure he is. I showered and dressed in the navy suit she'd requested, taking extra care with my appearance. If this was going to be a performance, I wanted to look the part. The charity event was held at the Meridian Gallery, a converted warehouse downtown that hosted the city's cultural elite when they wanted to feel bohemian. Tonight's cause was supporting local digital artists. Fitting, given that my wife's life had apparently become a work of fiction. Marisol worked the room like the professional she was, air-kissing socialites and posing for photos that would undoubtedly end up on her Instagram story. I played the dutiful husband, making small talk with donors and nodding appreciatively at art installations I didn't understand. Gideon! Serena appeared at my elbow, dressed in something that probably cost more than my monthly salary. So good to see you. Serena Tran was the kind of beautiful that came with a price tag. Perfect skin, perfect teeth, perfect everything, except for the calculating look in her eyes that most people missed. Tonight, she seemed especially pleased about something. Serena, I said, accepting her air kiss. You look lovely. Thank you. I want you to meet someone. She gestured toward a man approaching us, tall, dark hair, expensive suit, artificially white smile. This is Rafael Ortega. Rafe, this is Gideon, Marisol's husband. The famous husband. Rafael extended his hand with the kind of aggressive confidence that immediately put my teeth on edge. Mari talks about you all the time. All good things, I hope, I said, shaking his hand. His grip was firm but soft, the hands of someone who'd never done real work. Oh, absolutely, he said, and I caught the slight smirk that played around his mouth. She says you're very dedicated. The way he said dedicated made it sound like a character flaw. I try to be, I replied. Marisol deserves someone who pays attention to detail. That's so sweet, Serena cooed, but her eyes were sharp, watching for my reaction. We made small talk for a few more minutes. Rafael's startup, his recent funding round, his plans for expansion. He was the kind of entrepreneur who mistook venture capital for personal achievement, the type who'd never built anything but was convinced he was changing the world. I should find my wife, I said eventually. Make sure she's not spending too much at the silent auction. Oh, she's over by the photography exhibit, Rafael said. We were just discussing the intersection of digital media and traditional art forms. I bet they were. I found Marisol exactly where Rafael had indicated, studying a series of photographs that appeared to be Instagram posts printed on canvas. She was talking animatedly with a young artist about the democratization of visual culture, using the kind of buzzwords that made her sound profound to people who didn't know better. "There you are," she said when she saw me approaching. "I was just telling Marcus about your thoughts on digital disruption in traditional industries." I had no idea who Marcus was or what thoughts she was referring to, but I smiled and nodded. "It's fascinating stuff," I agreed. "The way technology changes how we perceive authenticity." Marcus, a 20-something with carefully disheveled hair and paint-stained jeans, launched into a passionate monologue about the blurring lines between reality and performance in social media. I half listened, more interested in watching Marisol's face as she glanced repeatedly toward where Rafael and Serena were holding court near the bar. "Excuse me," she said suddenly. "I need to powder my nose." She headed toward the restroom, but I noticed she took a detour past Rafael's group. I watched as Serena whispered something in her ear, causing Marisol to glance back at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Your wife's amazing," Marcus said, apparently mistaking my distraction for deep thought about his art. "She certainly is," I agreed. 20 minutes later, Marisol returned from her extended bathroom break, slightly flushed and with her lipstick freshly applied. "Ready to go?" she asked. "Already? We just got here. I have an early meeting tomorrow. Besides, we've made our appearance." On the drive home, she was unusually quiet, checking her phone repeatedly at red lights. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Fine, just work stuff." "Anything I can help with?" "No, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand." "Right. Too complicated for the corporate lawyer who specialized in complex business transactions." Back at the condo, Marisol disappeared into the bathroom again, emerging 20 minutes later in silk pajamas and an expression of barely contained excitement. "I'm exhausted," she announced. "Going to bed." But she didn't look exhausted. She looked like someone who was anticipating something. I waited until she was asleep, then checked her phone again. New messages in the group chat. Serena: "He didn't suspect anything?" Marisol: "Nothing. God, he's so clueless." Rafael: "This is going to be even better than we planned." Serena: "Saturday night can't come fast enough." Saturday night, 4 days away. Whatever they had planned, that was my timeline. I screenshotted the messages and started planning my counter-move. The next morning brought a revelation that changed everything. Bobby knocked on my office door at 7:30, holding a coffee and a manila folder with an expression I'd never seen before. "We need to talk," she said, closing the door behind her. "About the Henderson case?" "About your wife." I set down my pen and really looked at her. Bobby was usually all business, focused, professional, unflappable. Today, she looked uncomfortable, like someone who'd stumbled into something she'd rather not know about. "What about her?" "You know I do freelance social media consulting, right? Side work to pay off law school loans?" I nodded. Bobby was one of the few associates who'd worked her way through school without family money. "Last month, I got approached by someone who wanted help with what they called reputation management. The pay was good, so I took the meeting." She opened the folder and pulled out a printed email chain. The client was Serena Tran. She wanted me to create fake social media accounts, generate negative reviews for certain businesses, basically destroy someone's online presence. When I asked who the target was, she said it was someone who'd wronged her professionally and deserved to be taught a lesson. My stomach dropped. And? I turned down the job, too sketchy, too many legal risks, but I kept the emails because something felt off about the whole thing. She handed me the printouts. Serena's messages were detailed and vindictive, outlining a comprehensive plan to systematically destroy someone's reputation, business relationships, and social standing. "Look at the date," Bobby said. The email chain started 3 months ago, long before I'd discovered Marisol's affair. Whatever Serena was planning, it predated my current marital crisis. There's more, Bobby continued. Yesterday, after you seemed so distracted, I did some digging. Serena Tran used to work here. What? 5 years ago, before my time. She was a paralegal in the corporate division. Want to guess who fired her? The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Me. Bingo. Harassment complaint against one of the senior partners. She wanted to pursue it, you advised against it for career reasons, and when she pushed back, you had her terminated for performance issues. I remembered now. Serena had been young, ambitious, and completely out of her depth when she'd accused Harrison Blackwood of inappropriate conduct. Blackwood was one of the firm's founding partners, a rainmaker who brought in millions in revenue. The complaint would have been her word against his, and she had no evidence beyond her own testimony. I genuinely thought I was helping her by suggesting she find another job and avoid a messy legal battle she couldn't win. Instead, I'd apparently created an enemy who'd been planning revenge for 5 years. She's been playing a long game, I said, more to myself than to Bobby. Looks like it, and now she's your wife's business partner. How did you figure that out? LinkedIn is a beautiful thing. Serena and Marisol started their agency 2 years ago, right after Marisol left her previous job. Want to guess who helped finance the startup? I was almost afraid to ask. Rafael Ortega? Give the man a prize. His venture capital firm provided the seed funding. It's all public record if you know where to look. The conspiracy was bigger than I'd thought. This wasn't just about Marisol's affair. It was about Serena's long-delayed revenge, with my wife and marriage as collateral damage. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Bobby shrugged. You're a decent boss, and you've always been fair to me. Plus, what they're planning is probably illegal, and I don't want to see you get destroyed by someone else's vendetta. What exactly do you think they're planning? Based on Serena's previous requests? Complete character assassination. They'll probably record you in some compromising situation, leak it online, maybe file false complaints with the state bar. The goal is total professional and personal destruction. Saturday night. Whatever they had planned for Saturday night was meant to be the final shot. I need to think about this, I said. Take your time. But Gideon? Don't do anything stupid. Serena's smart, and she's been planning this for years. If you try to fight her on her terms, you'll lose. After Bobby left, I sat in my office staring at the evidence. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was an unwitting accomplice in a revenge plot that had been years in the making. The affair with Rafael might even be part of Serena's plan, a way to ensure Marisol's complete cooperation. I called Coach Biggs. I need to hit something, I said when he answered. Rough morning? You could say that. Come in, we'll work on your footwork. Sounds like you're going to need to be quick on your feet. The gym was nearly empty at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. Just me, Biggs, and a couple of serious fighters preparing for upcoming matches. I told Biggs everything while we worked through combinations. The affair, the conspiracy, Serena's history with the firm. So your wife's friend has been planning to destroy you for 5 years, he said, holding the focus mitts while I worked my jab cross combination. Looks like it. And your wife doesn't know? I don't think so. She thinks this is just about upgrading to a richer husband. But the friend is using the wife to get to you. That's my read on it. Biggs lowered the mitts. You know what this means, right? That I'm screwed? That you got 2 fights on your hands. The wife who betrayed you, and the friend who's been manipulating everything. You try to fight them both at once, you'll lose. But if you can separate them, turn them against each other. Now you're thinking like a fighter. Use their own momentum against them. I spent the rest of the day researching Rafael's business dealings and Serena's agency. Public records, LinkedIn profiles, news articles about their various ventures. What I found was interesting. Rafael's venture capital firm was struggling. 2 of their major investments had failed in the past year, and they were facing pressure from their own investors. The funding for Marisol and Serena's agency was actually a Hail Mary. Rafael needed a success story to keep his own business afloat. Serena's agency, meanwhile, was doing better than expected. They'd landed several high-profile clients and were being mentioned in industry publications as an up-and-coming firm to watch. Marisol's social media expertise was apparently the driving force behind their success, which meant Serena needed Marisol more than Marisol needed Serena. That evening, I came home to find Marisol in full preparation mode for whatever Saturday's event was supposed to be. She was trying on different outfits, taking selfies, and having animated phone conversations with Serena about logistics. "Big weekend planned?" I asked casually. "Just a work thing," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Industry party. You'd be bored. Try me. Maybe I'd enjoy meeting more of your colleagues. It's really not your scene, Gideon. Trust me." But she looked nervous as she said it, and I caught her glancing at her phone repeatedly throughout dinner. That night, after she was asleep, I made my move. I didn't check her phone this time. Instead, I went to my laptop and started drafting an email to Rafael's biggest investor, a pension fund that had invested heavily in his firm. The email detailed concerns about Rafael's judgment and business practices, specifically his involvement with potentially fraudulent social media campaigns. I didn't send it. Not yet, but it was ready to go when I needed it. Then I drafted a second email, this one to Marisol and Serena's biggest client. It outlined concerns about the agency's business practices and suggested they might want to review their contract terms. Again, I didn't send it, but it was loaded and ready. Finally, I created a fake social media account and started following all the key players, Marisol, Serena, Rafael, and their various associates. If they were planning to destroy my reputation online, I wanted to see it coming. Saturday was 2 days away. Time to start playing offense. Friday morning brought an unexpected opportunity. Emily, my 16-year-old daughter, was having breakfast when I came downstairs. She looked up from her phone with an expression I hadn't seen in months. Guilt. "Dad, can we talk?" We hadn't had a real conversation in weeks. Emily had been distant lately, spending most of her time in her room creating TikTok content that apparently mocked my existence. "Of course," I said, pouring coffee. "What's on your mind?" "It's about Mom." I kept my expression neutral. "What about her?" "She asked me to do something, and I'm not sure I should." "What kind of something?" Emily fidgeted with her phone, clearly uncomfortable. "She wants me to record you tomorrow night, like, secretly. She said it's for a surprise party or something, but..." "But?" "It doesn't feel like a surprise party. She was talking to Serena about it, and they were laughing in this mean way. And Mom's been acting weird lately." My daughter was sharper than I'd given her credit for. "What kind of recording?" "She wants me to hide my phone and film you during some conversation. She said you'd be confessing something, and she wanted to capture your reaction." The confession Marisol had mentioned on her phone call. They were planning to manipulate me into some kind of admission, then record my reaction for posterity. "Emily," I said carefully, "what do you think about your mom lately?" She looked down at her cereal. "I think she's been lying about stuff, and I think Serena is a bad influence." "Why do you say that?" "Serena keeps telling Mom she deserves better than us. Better than you, better than this house, better than our family, and Mom just agrees with her." My daughter was watching her family fall apart and didn't understand why. The guilt hit me like a physical blow. "Emily, I need you to know that whatever happens between your mom and me, it's not your fault, and I love you, no matter what." "Are you guys getting divorced?" The direct question caught me off guard. "I don't know yet. Maybe." "Because of Rafe?" So she knew about Rafael. "What do you know about Rafe?" "Mom thinks I don't notice things, but I do. She's been texting him constantly, and she gets this stupid smile whenever his name pops up. Plus, she's been buying new clothes and wearing different perfume." "How do you feel about that?" Emily shrugged, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. I feel like she cares more about being cool than being my mom. We sat in silence for a moment, both of us processing the reality of our situation. Emily, about tomorrow night, don't record anything. Tell your mom you forgot, or your phone stopped, or whatever. Can you do that for me? Yeah, Dad, I can do that. And Emily? Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that some adults make bad choices. That doesn't mean you have to. She nodded, and for the first time in months, she looked like my little girl again, instead of a social media influencer in training. After Emily left for school, I called Bobby. I need a favor, I said when she answered. What kind of favor? The kind that might get you in trouble if anyone finds out. I'm listening. Can you create a fake social media profile that looks real, complete with history, photos, the works? Probably. What's the purpose? I need to infiltrate their planning. They're using group chats and private messages to coordinate whatever they're doing tomorrow night. Gideon, that's probably illegal. So is conspiracy to commit fraud, which is what they're planning. Bobby was quiet for a moment. What kind of profile do you need? Young, female, works in marketing or social media. Someone who would naturally connect with Serena's crowd. Give me 2 hours. While Bobby worked her magic, I spent the morning researching revenge tactics. Not the illegal kind. I wasn't interested in going to prison, but the strategic kind. Corporate law had taught me that the best way to destroy an enemy was to make them destroy themselves. Serena's weakness was her ego. She'd spent 5 years planning this revenge, and she wanted credit for her cleverness. That pride would be her downfall. Rafael's weakness was his business. He was leveraged beyond his means, and his reputation was the only thing keeping his investors from pulling out. One serious scandal would collapse his entire empire. Marisol's weakness was her image. She'd built her entire identity around being successful, desirable, and in control. Public humiliation would devastate her more than any divorce settlement. The question was how to target all three without destroying myself in the process. Bobby called back at noon. Meet me at Starbucks on 5th Street, she said, and bring cash. I found her at a corner table with a laptop and a manila envelope. Meet Jessica Chen, she said, sliding the envelope across the table. 26 marketing coordinator at a mid-sized agency in Chicago, graduated from Northwestern, loves yoga and wine, recently single, and looking to network in the social media space. The envelope contained printed social media profiles that looked completely authentic. Photos, post history, connections, everything. How did you... You don't want to know. Let's just say I have friends in the digital forensics space who owe me favors. This is incredible work. It's also a felony if we get caught, so don't get caught. I spent the afternoon establishing Jessica Chen's online presence, connecting with people in Serena's network, and gradually working my way into their social circle. By evening, I'd managed to get accepted into several private groups where Serena's associates shared industry gossip and business tips. More importantly, I'd connected with 2 of Serena's former employees who'd left the agency under mysterious circumstances. Their private messages painted a picture of a boss who was vindictive, manipulative, and possibly embezzling from client accounts. Saturday morning, I put my plan into motion. First, I sent an anonymous tip to the State Bar Association about potential ethical violations at Serena's agency. Nothing that would stick, but enough to trigger an inquiry that would make her nervous. Second, I leaked information about Rafael's financial problems to a gossip blogger who specialized in startup drama. Again, nothing illegal, just public information presented in an unflattering light. Third, I sent Marisol flowers at her office with a note. Looking forward to tonight. Love, G. The flowers would make her nervous, wondering what I knew and what I was planning. Nervous people made mistakes. By Saturday evening, I was ready for whatever they had planned. The venue was the Riverside Country Club, an old money establishment where the city's elite gathered to pretend they cared about charity while networking and gossiping. Tonight's event was a fundraiser for youth arts programs, complete with silent auction and open bar. I arrived early, wearing my best suit and a hidden recording device Bobby had procured from her forensics contacts. If they were planning to record me, I'd return the favor. Marisol arrived 30 minutes later, looking stunning in a red dress I'd never seen before. She was accompanied by Serena and Rafael, both of whom seemed unusually animated. "Gideon!" Serena approached with arms outstretched as if we were old friends. "So wonderful to see you." "Serena, you look lovely." "Thank you. I'm so excited about tonight. It's going to be memorable." Rafael shook my hand with that same aggressive confidence, but I noticed a slight tremor in his grip. The gossip blog had already posted their story about his financial troubles. "Rough week?" I asked innocently. "Just the usual startup drama," he said, but his smile was strained. Marisol kissed my cheek, her perfume different again, something expensive and unfamiliar. "You seem happy," I observed. "It's a beautiful night," she said. "Perfect for new beginnings." The three of them exchanged glances that confirmed my suspicions. Tonight was the night they planned to destroy me. I was ready for them. The trap was set for 10 o'clock in the country club's private library. Serena had maneuvered me there under the pretense of showing me some rare books, while Marisol and Rafael positioned themselves strategically around the room. I could see phones being discreetly activated, ready to record whatever confession they thought they were about to capture. "Gideon," Serena began, her voice taking on a tone of fake concern. "I've been thinking about our conversation the other night." "What conversation was that?" "About your marriage, about how you've been feeling unfulfilled." I hadn't had any such conversation with Serena, but I played along. "Oh, right, that. I think it's brave of you to admit that you've been struggling, that you've been looking elsewhere for companionship." Ah. They were trying to get me to confess to an affair I wasn't having, probably to justify Marisol's actual affair. Classic projection. "It's complicated," I said, giving them what they wanted to hear. Marisol stepped closer, her phone clearly recording. "I think we should talk about this honestly, Gideon. About what you really want." "What I really want." "Freedom," Rafael interjected. "The chance to be with someone who actually understands you." They wanted me to confess to wanting a divorce, or to cheating, or to something that would paint me as the villain in their narrative. Instead, I decided to give them a different kind of confession. "You're right," I said, looking directly at Marisol. "I do want something different." "What's that?" she asked, leaning in closer with her phone. "I want a wife who doesn't think I'm stupid enough to miss the obvious." The room went very quiet. "I want a wife who doesn't have secret group chats mocking our marriage. I want a wife who doesn't steal money from our joint account to pay for her boyfriend's lifestyle. And I want a wife who doesn't recruit our teenage daughter to secretly record conversations for her revenge fantasies." Marisol's face went white. "Gideon, what are you— I'm talking about Rafael's startup going bankrupt. I'm talking about Serena's 5-year plan to destroy my career because I fired her for being incompetent. And I'm talking about the three of you being too arrogant to realize that lawyers are professionally paranoid." I pulled out my own phone and showed them the screen. "Everything you just said was recorded and automatically uploaded to cloud storage, along with screenshots of your group chats, evidence of financial fraud, and documentation of conspiracy to commit defamation." Serena's composure cracked first. "You can't prove anything." "Actually, I can. Bobby Dre, my associate, has been documenting your activities for weeks. Turns out, trying to hire her to destroy my online reputation was a mistake. She kept records." Rafael was backing toward the door. "This is insane. You're paranoid." "Maybe, but I'm paranoid with evidence. Your investors received some interesting information about your business practices yesterday. How's that working out for you?" His face answered the question. And Serena, I continued, the State Bar Association is very interested in your agency's billing practices. Something about charging clients for services you never provided? You bastard, she hissed. Language, Serena. We're in polite company. I turned to Marisol, who was still holding her phone but no longer recording. And you, dear wife. Your biggest client received some concerning information about your agency's stability. Apparently, they're reconsidering their contract. You're destroying everything, Marisol said, tears starting to form. No, I'm revealing what was already destroyed. You three destroyed it when you decided to turn my life into your entertainment. What do you want? Serena demanded. Justice, I said. And I'm going to get it. I walked to the library's main desk and picked up an envelope I'd placed there earlier. This contains divorce papers, a complaint to the State Bar about Serena's practices, and a detailed report to the SEC about Rafael's business dealings. I can file all of it on Monday morning. Or, Rafael asked, or you can save me the trouble. I opened the envelope and pulled out 3 separate documents. Serena, you're going to dissolve your agency and return every penny you've stolen from your clients. You're also going to publicly apologize for your unethical business practices and retire from the marketing industry. That's my entire career. Should have thought of that 5 years ago. I turned to Rafael. You're going to liquidate your assets, pay back your investors, and disappear from this city. I don't care where you go, but you're not staying here. You can't make me your choice. Prison or exile. I'm flexible. Finally, I looked at Marisol. And you're going to sign these divorce papers, accept a settlement that leaves you with exactly what you brought into our marriage, and stay away from our daughter until she's 18. Gideon, please, no. You made your choice when you decided to humiliate me for sport. Now you live with the consequences. The 3 of them stood there in stunned silence, finally understanding that their victim had become their executioner. You have 24 hours to decide, I said. Choose wisely. I walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. Emily won't be recording any more videos for you, Marisol. Turns out, our daughter is smarter than you gave her credit for. She figured out what kind of person you really are. I left them there in the library, 3 conspirators whose elaborate revenge plot had just collapsed around them. Outside, it was raining, but I'd never felt better in my life. 6 months later, Serena's agency was defunct, and she was working as a night shift customer service representative in another state. Rafael had fled to Costa Rica after liquidating his assets to avoid criminal charges. And Marisol was living in a studio apartment across town, her social media influence